great one is experience. People say there is no substitute for experience, but in today's wired world, you can take the benefit of other people's experience. My name is Sunil Choitram. I've been a lawyer for over 2 decades across private practice and heading up an in-house department. And I'm going to share with you some of the lessons I learned along the way. Today I want to share a few tips on effective negotiation. Negotiation is such a fundamental core skill set for any lawyer. It's a wonder that more time isn't devoted to teaching good negotiation skills. There are a lot of courses and materials available online, and you could devote literally months of study to this topic. So I wanted to distill just a few key ideas for you that come from years of learning and experience. I won't dwell on obvious things or the ones you read on every post, like be prepared, be an active listener. Those are very important, but you'll see them time and again. So here I just want to focus on 3 tips from my own experience. Each of the 3 is absolutely a cliché, but hear me out. Number 1 is be yourself. Learning negotiation on the job is how most lawyers will develop skills, and it's a great way to learn as you can emulate the styles of senior lawyers. However, developing your own style allows you to play to your own strengths and to be much more natural. People say, fake it till you make it, and there is some truth in that, especially when you're starting out. However, making it in this sense means being comfortable being yourself, speaking in your normal voice and in your usual tone. Pretending to be someone else will be spotted a mile away and could be seen as a sign of fear, or worse, you could be interpreted as being disingenuous. When you're trying to build rapport with somebody, authenticity is almost always the best way to go. I remember watching a senior female partner negotiating in a room full of male bankers. There must have been 20 of them. The bankers were aggressive, rude even, shouting over each other, each trying to dominate the room. Rather than beating her chest and trying to shout louder, this partner just sat patiently, observing everyone in the room until the time to speak presented itself. She spoke quietly, slowly, and in a feminine manner, not trying to out-macho the room or belittling anyone. And after that, every time she spoke, the room would fall silent and people would hang on her every word. She used her natural style to her advantage and was comfortable just waiting in silence until the right time. A second tip, and perhaps even more cliché, look for a win-win outcome. At Harvard Business School, they teach a course on negotiation, and there's an exercise that they do that goes something like this. 2 people sit opposite each other and they're given 2 signs, one that says war and one that says peace. Over 10 rounds, they're asked to each raise 1 sign. If they both raise peace, they each get 1 point. If one raises peace and one raises war, the one that said war gets the point. If both parties raise war, neither gets a point. Now what you tend to see is that initially both parties will raise peace, neither wanting to be the first to make a move. At some point, probably around 3 or 4, one party will get bold and raise war, taking a lead on points. The round after that, typically, the warring party will raise war again, and the peaceful party, thinking it was just a one-off, will usually try to keep the peace, expecting the other party to be reasonable. Unfortunately, that usually results in the warring party going even further into the lead and the peaceful party thinking he has to now catch up somehow. At that point, you can probably guess what happens. Both parties just look at each other and go war, 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 war the whole way to round 10. Now, what's the point of that game? Well, it's a good demonstration of how you can reframe winning a negotiation. Is winning to defeat the other side? Then just go war, war, war the whole way. But you may end up with more points than the other opponent, but if they catch on to war, you're going to be equal. Actually, if your aim is to get a better outcome for your client, for yourself, by encouraging peace, 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 both sides end up with collectively more points than in the scenario where you defeat the other side. To recast that in the real world, if you can build genuine rapport and trust with your counterparty, they are more likely to look for ways to collaborate, both in this negotiation and in the future, and open up new business ideas and possibilities. A business that operates on destroying counterparties cannot last, as nobody will want to do business with them. So instead of seeking to defeat opponents, Be driven by seeking the best outcome for everybody, and the overall result, both short-term and long-term, is going to be better. You get further in life with a handshake and a smile than you do with kicking the door in. Don't get me wrong, sometimes you have to be able to show force. But start with the peaceful approach and see if you can make it work for both sides. Build rapport, build a collaborative sense, and it will likely be as good for you as it will be for them. My third cliche is develop good communication skills. Now, I'm not talking about eloquence or wit or crafty wordplay with barristers. I am talking about learning some of the communication skills that you might not learn intuitively on the job and have to be taught. For example, a great way to build trust with the person you're speaking to is to match them. Speak like they do, emulate their tone, their pace. It helps to create a feeling that you're both in sync. Whether you are a person speaking to another person just opposite them, or as is so often the case now, you're a person speaking to somebody via video conference, your body language can also speak volumes about you. So also emulate the other person's body language, their posture. Are they open? Are they closed? Are they sitting forwards in the chair, listening intently to you, eager and interested? Whereas if you sit back, casually, closed body language, speaking less excitedly, it signals to them that you're disinterested. Not just in the subject matter, but because humans are humans, they think you're disinterested in them as an individual, and you don't care about what they have to say. As you can imagine, that is not what you want to convey if you're trying to build connection. Remember what I was saying about being yourself? In communication, putting your own personality into the way you say things will make you seem a more real human being and not some robot lawyer in a suit trying to defeat somebody in a negotiation. If you have a strong accent, don't try to hide it, but be mindful that to be understood, you may have to speak a bit slower. Are you communicating in a second language? Be comfortable that you might make grammatical mistakes, but take comfort in the fact that the other party should appreciate the extra effort that you're making. Do you use lots of fillers? Like, I was like, and then she was like, and then we were like, whatever. The easiest way to sound more confident is to be aware of those fillers and try to minimize them. Because if you actively speak slower and more deliberately to try and avoid using them, you will inadvertently come across as more thoughtful, calm, and confident of what you're saying. Finally, never underestimate the power of silence or of not reacting. Take the time to think about answers before rattling them off. Be comfortable with moments of silence, as there's great power in them. My economics teacher once told me an anecdote about the Queen. He said that if a bee were to land on her face, walk all over it, and sit on the end of her nose, stinger poised to strike, she would simply ignore it, as she doesn't concern herself with small things and is always thinking about the big picture. Be like the Queen. Be completely unassailable. Don't be baited into arguments which will simply devolve into war. Rather, think big picture, and if the moment calls for it, be silent. Think a while, and then convey a message of peace. Obviously, don't let it go on too long, as the person opposite you might think you have some sort of issue, so use your judgment. So those are my 3 cliché tips from experience. Be yourself to your advantage. Look for a win-win as you get further in life with a handshake and a smile. And lastly, learn the communication skills that have to be taught. See you in the next video.